Welcome to Small Business Saturday.
Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Welcome into our Success Group Small Business Saturday here on a wonderful Saturday afternoon here today. Today, we're going to be talking about conquering procrastination. My name is Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at oursuccessgroup.com, or if you want to reach out directly to me, just look right down here in the corner, consultaaron.com. So I guess I want to start this off with a question for you guys that are tuned in live. Do you feel like you're often putting your dreams on hold, right? So today, as I mentioned, I want to talk to you guys about procrastinating and how we might overcome that. Now, what I want to do, what the plan is for today, is I'm going to get some help from my mentor and also the president of his company. So my mentor is Jack Canfield. President of his company is a wonderful lady named Patty Aubrey. Actually, Patty started as his secretary, I don't know, 40 years ago, a long time ago. And she is now, she basically helped him get through Chicken Soup for the Soul and became the president of his company, and just a really neat lady. So she's in this video as well. And so we're going to play this short video to talk about these ideas here, right? And the idea here is I want to share what they have, and then I want to come back and tie these things back to how we might utilize these ideas, these principles in our business as well. They're going to talk a little bit about business, but they'll be talking about other things that might not relate. And so I want to make sure that we can tie those things back. And the goal here is to give you some strategies to break free from those chains of procrastination. And all right. Darren says, yes. Thanks, Darren. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. Good afternoon, Chuck. Hello, Darren. Awesome. Okay. So yes, we do feel that. And I'll be honest, right? I'm going to cop up to it myself. I feel that from time to time. I procrastinated on my book for way too long, and paying the price for it now, but I think in a good way. So we'll talk about that. And the other thing before I get into this video from Jack and Patty here, is I want to be really, really clear. There's not a magic bullet solution that will just instantly move you from procrastinator to super achiever, right? But here's the good news: is the process is actually very simple. Now, simple and easy are two different things. But once you are ready to let go of the old stories that are holding you back, once you're willing to commit to clarifying your reason, then you can follow some simple steps, some of these simple ideas that Jack and Patty have for us here that we can then increase and get to a point where we're actually focusing, right? We're going to increase our focus. And then that changes things, right? Once we've increased focus and we're actually taking action, we're actually moving forward, we actually stop procrastinating. Because until then, right, the things that we desire are just that. They're desires, they're dreams. Maybe we're really good at talking about it. Maybe we're really good at hoping for it, but to actually start moving forward. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Now, I mentioned in there clarifying your reason, and it is something that I love working with people on. I found this real passion for working with people on clarifying their reason. Start with why, purpose, mission, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it a reason because our reasons have to be bigger than our excuses. I know you guys have heard me say that before. And so I've created a micro consulting offer over at coachosg.com. And I wanted to just play a little quick video on that first. Are you a small business owner that is ready to create a business that you love? Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed, out of sorts, like the business is controlling you? I'm here to help you create a foundation so that you can build that business that you love. I do truly believe that everyone has all of the resources, knowledge, and ability to create a business that they love without excessive grinding and hustle and working ourselves nearly to death. All you need to do is build a foundation using solid fundamentals. These micro consulting services will give you exactly what you need when you need it. Sign up for one of these micro consulting opportunities, and I will guide you to building a foundation so you can have that business that you love. So if you'll head over there, you can check it out. There is a micro consulting program in there called Inner Clarity, and what that's all about. Now, some of you, in fact, I know Chuck, you're in here. You and I started on the Success Action Plan. Love to get back to that. So similar there, but this is just a condensed. Let's just work on the front of that. So if that's something you guys want to check out, if you're a Masters of Success member that happens to be tuned in here, you get that for free. So don't worry about going over to Coach OSG. If you're an OSG member, there is a significant discount code available in the private members group, or just reach out to me and I'll let you know about that. But if you've not yet joined OSG in any capacity there yet, and still want to check that out, still would like to get some support in clarifying your reason, understanding your why, you can save money over there at Coach OSG. Just use the coupon code UNSTUCK, and it works for all of those micro consulting offers. So check that out over there at coachosg.com. Okay, well, let's get into this video. Like I said, I want to play the video. The idea here now, I would also ask you guys to be thinking about things, right? Once we come back from this, I definitely have some notes that I want to go over, but I really want to hear from you guys, right? Those of you that are tuned in live right now, I really want to hear from you guys for sure. What is it that you're looking at, right? What showed up after you watched this video, right? What were the things that stood out? And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but this video is about 10 minutes long. So let's hear from Jack and Patty here.
So first question is how to deal with self-sabotage. This person wants to lose weight, get healthy, and grow a successful business selling her artwork, but she can't stop procrastinating and making excuses for herself, even though she's holding herself back from her dreams. So she asks, how do I stop the procrastination, self-sabotage, and making excuses? I know logically that I have to stop it, but I don't know how. I keep hearing my parents' voices in my head telling me that art is just a hobby, not a full-time job, and that I'll never be able to support myself as an artist. So how do you get these old tapes out of your head for good?
Here's the main thing to realize. Everybody that has these voices in their head, they're just voices in your head. You know, so many musicians and artists that I've worked with, they've been told you can't make a living doing that. You need a backup job. What's your backup plan? You should go to university, get a real job when you come out. And the reality is that I think that everyone needs to follow their inner guidance, and really do the thing that makes you happy. And if art is what does that, you need to do that. And to realize that voices in your head are just voices in your head. And they're not real out there. Now, obviously, she's got parents who are telling her that that's real. But the point being that our job in life is not to make our parents happy. We need to honor them, as they say in the Bible. We need to respect them. We need to all of that. But our job is to make ourselves happy. That is our first fundamental principle. And that's why joy is your guidance system. If you're working on your own joy, you're going to be fine. And I saw a quote recently. It was from Byron Katie. I'm probably paraphrasing it, but she said, Lord, please, it was a prayer she said every day, spare me from the desire of wanting or needing approval, appreciation, or love. And the idea being, as soon as I need someone else's approval, I'm screwed. You wrote a book called Permission Granted. You just give yourself your own permission to do what you want to do. It's not our job to be pleasing other people. We become a people pleaser, which is kind of a term in psychology that says you're codependent. You're making other people's needs more important than your own. And I've counseled and coached lots of people who, one woman I remember, she wanted to be in the foreign service and work at a international school, like in Dubai or someplace, and her parents didn't want her to go. And she decided, I have to do what I want to do. And she went. She's very successful. She's happy now. Her parents are fine because she survived. She's doing well. But you have to be willing to step out there. Most parents, and I think the thing to remember is your parents want you to succeed. They want you to be happy. They don't tell you things like that because they want you to be miserable. They think they're telling you the best thing. I had another client who everyone in the family was a doctor, and the mother, the father, the aunts, the uncles, the brothers, everyone was a doctor, like 3 generations. He did not want to be a doctor. He showed up in one of our Breakthrough to Success seminars, and he talked about having migraine headaches all the time. And when I asked him to give his headache a voice and speak to him, it said, "I don't want to be doing this doctor thing." And what was fascinating is he became an anesthesiologist. So what does an anesthesiologist do? Numbs you out. So he was numbing himself out to his own desires. What he wanted to do was have a garage and work on exotic cars. So when he quit being a doctor and started working on the cars, the headaches went away and never came back. He made a very good living. It wasn't what his parents were wanting. And you probably heard, we work with a lot of clients from India, especially now that we're doing online. And someone said to me recently in a workshop from India, he said, the parents only want you to be one of 3. He said, you can only grow up and be one of 3 things in India. You're either going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a disappointment to your parents. And so obviously they want you to do well, but we have to be willing to look inside ourselves. And then the question becomes, how do you deal with that voice? Something I learned from Tony Robbins with NLP once was really interesting. Take the voice in your head and speed it up so it sounds like a Mickey Mouse voice. You got to go to school. You can't do that. Artists don't make any money. You'll die. You know, and it gets really silly. Or you can even do like and drown out the voice. And the work we do, I think that's important to say, replace the voice. Replace it with what are the words you wish your parents would say to you, and say them to yourself. And then turn that into an affirmation and say that, write it on a card, put it on your mirror, put it on your computer, put it in the dashboard of your car, and repeat that affirmation to yourself every day until it becomes like your address, your phone number, your name. You know it so well that it becomes the thing that you let guide your life.
Well, I think too, so let's just take art, for example. I think one of the biggest questions would be, so if art were to become my business and my life, what would it really look like?
Yes.
And get really, really clear on what that looks like and write it down and tell everybody you know and start with the people around you and go further and further and further. I think a lot of people try to think it through in their head, and where you've always been great is like, all right, what does the strategy look like? Show it to me. What's the outline? Here's the holes. Why is this here? Why do you think we should do that? You know, it used to kind of make me mad to a fault. But the reality is to have somebody kind of help you get through it and clearly think it through is helpful, because sometimes we're too close to our dreams that we just can't see how to monetize them as well.
Well, find someone who's already done what you want to do. We talk about that. Find a mentor who's already done what you want to do. Take my son, Kyle, who is a hip hop artist, and he is also a DJ, and he has a music studio in his condo where he literally has recorded albums that have won Grammy Awards. And the reality is his mom wanted him to do something different. And I have to say at first, I was kind of like, well, maybe you should go to Full Sail Audio. That's an audio engineering school, so you can learn the audio side of it in case you don't make it as an artist. I was guilty of it, Fortunately, he did go to Full Sail, and he got all that. That's why he has a studio. But he pursued his dream. He's not a famous person like some of these people that have, $1 million homes and all that. But he's happy. He's doing what he loves. He's well respected in the Bay Area. He's got a group. He's got his own single act he does. And the thing is, he's surviving, more than surviving. He's really happy and makes good money. The pandemic kind of slowed it down a little bit for the DJ work because a lot of the bars and weddings and things stopped happening. But this is a kid who followed his dream, and he's happy. So the thing is, like you're saying, what's the vision look like? Ask someone who's already done it. He talked to a lot of people that were successful in that business and got a lot of advice and did what they told him to do. And as a result, became very successful. I think one of the other things to realize for not everybody has such a clear awareness that their parents told them not to do something.
Yeah.
Some people, they don't know why they're not pursuing it. And it's a belief that they picked up between the age usually of 3 and 8 years old. The money doesn't grow on trees. It's not okay to ask people for things, etc. And that can stop you and make you self-sabotage as well. You get really close to what you want. If you have competing motivations, like when I win, it makes other people lose. Or if I'm wealthy, it'll make me corrupt. I won't be able to get into heaven. We hear that, easier for a camel to crawl through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. If you believe that, and you hear it as a kid, then all of a sudden you're getting close to being successful. You don't know why, but some part of you pulls back.
So I want to talk about that more, because I think that's a big thing for a lot of people that go through this kind of work. They're solo entrepreneurs, or they have a day job and they're switching into something new. And so they have this competing agenda, which is, I have a boss on one side, but I have me on the other. And I think that shows up in that area as well, the self-sabotaging, because there are those two competitive stories. Well, I can't have both. And so how would you have someone sort of reframe that? I mean,
Well, I think most people live in what we call either or thinking. I can either be this or that. I can have a full-time job and be that well, or I can have my own entrepreneurial thing. I can be a great parent, but I can't be the CEO of a company. Or I can be the CEO, but I don't have time to be a great parent. And or is the problem. Both and is what you want. And so the reality is you can. And so you want to have a belief, an affirmation. I can be both a great parent and I can be a great CEO. I can have a full-time job and I can develop this side gig. I want to say one more thing about this for the person who wrote this question in, and that is the importance of community. See, your parents are there telling you one thing out of their love for you, but they don't know everything that's in your heart. They don't know what you were born to do, what's in your DNA, all that. Find a community of people, whether it's a mastermind group, a club, a church group, whatever, that supports your dream. You know, that's why we do our coaching clubs and our mastermind groups, because these are all like-minded people who are going for their dream. And when you've got 8 to 10 people or 100 people in a coaching club like we have that are supporting your dream, then what happens is that overwhelms the lack of support or the other voice. And so you're getting that constant reinforcement from your accountability partner, your team, the coach, your mentor, whatever it is. So community is really, really important to help you get where you want to go.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think a lot of people think that they have to do it alone. And so nobody goes it alone, basically. So if you're not in a group, get in a group.
Yeah.
Would be my final word on that one.
Yeah. Well, let's let that be our final word for this.
All right. So there we go. There's a bunch of great information, I felt like, from Mr. Jack Canfield. And I can't wait. I see that Kylene's already putting some stuff in there. So thanks, Kylene. Looking forward to hearing from everybody else too, what your takeaways were, what your aha moments, that kind of thing. So go ahead, start typing in if you're tuned in live. And if you are tuned in live, also make sure that you're sharing this. Let's get a few more people in here, because the more perspectives, the more ideas we can generate together, the better off we're all going to be, that rising tide that lifts all boats. So, but let me start here. I think, to me, the overarching kind of idea that stands out when it comes to tying this back to our business, and especially how we conquer procrastination, is that procrastination, to me, is just a form of self-sabotage, right? We're not moving forward because of some internal block or lack of clarity. And here's what I've discovered is that if you're so passionate about what you're doing, then what's stopping you? Why is that procrastination stopping you? Because if you were really as passionate as you say you are about that success, about that idea, about that commitment, right, then that passion would be stronger. It keep you from, it wouldn't stop you from moving forward. So, these stories, these fears, these obstacles, they're just larger than your passion in that moment. And it's why I always say that our reasons have to be bigger than our excuses. And so taking time to get clarity on that, and then uncovering what those stories are, right? And Jack and Patty said several times in there about the stories and our excuses, and discussion about awareness. And Jack actually shared several examples throughout the course of some of the things that he was saying there. And it made me think about this tool that Kylene and I had put together, and Kylene really took and ran with it. And it's a fantastic tool. And I'm actually going to put it right up above me here, if you want to go to that QR code there, or you can go over to rssyoga.link/anchor. But it's this tool that helps us understand how stuck we are by the stories or those sayings, right? Jack did share quite a few of those. And we've got several of those on this form, and several others that he didn't mention. But I just want to invite you to check that out, rssyoga.link/anchor. And you can also, if you are watching the video version of this, the QR code is right up there. I think I'm pointing at it now. All right. So check that out. And he also talked a lot about affirmations. So after you go through that and you connect with Kylene over that particular document, just to kind of review it, there will be an affirmations guide that you will get as well. So that's one of the things that Kylene and I are all about, just giving as many resources as we can possibly give. So I know we've got comments in there. Darren said several things in there that hit home. So I'd love to hear what those are, Darren, if you wouldn't mind sharing a couple of them, and we can talk about them a little bit more if you'd like. I've got my list of notes here. I went Terry style, not junior yellow legal pad, but I've got a legal pad and with my notes here. So, but let me hit on a couple of Kylene's here real quick because they were pretty timely in there. Oh, there. I love it. Thanks, Darren. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to the first one here. The voices in our head, they are not real. Great reminder. Follow your joy. We don't need permission to follow our passion. Such a good message. Yeah. And let me break that down a little bit. Kylene's got a lot of great stuff in there. The voices in our head, right? I've got that on my list of notes as well. You know, that we have to identify those things and we have to understand where they're really coming from, right? The voices are there, but we might not recognize them, right? They maybe just were so long ago because they show up and then we just kind of freeze or we go off to something else, but we never sit with them and kind of understand where that came from. Oh yeah, that was something, you know. I can't wait to learn as Lewis gets older, whatever it is that he hears me saying to him over and over again. And I'm going to go, okay, buddy, you got to let go of that limiting belief. I'm sorry I installed that in you, right? Or maybe it'll be powerful, I hope, right? But either way, so we you know, they're not real, right? They're, you know, the situation, the person that said it in that moment, yes, that was real. But like Jack said, that doesn't define you, right? You don't have to let that define you. And so creating what you would like to hear there, what would better serve you there, I think is really good. And then follow your joy. I love that. That is actually, and Kylene, you have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but either one or two on your strengths there is joy. And so, you know, just follow that. You know, what's joy telling you? Okay, let's do that. Right. And if we follow that around, I don't think we can ever really make too big of a mistake, right? That we can't recover from. So I think that's really good. We don't need permission to follow our passion, right? So we've got full permission to follow our joy, and that joy is also our passion, right? So you don't need that permission, right? Such a good message. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Let's see here. Kylene says, Masters of Success has been powerful with helping me to keep moving forward. Connecting with the right people, other growth-minded people is powerful in supporting moving forward. And there was definitely some discussion about community there. And I think Patty even closed it with, you know, you're never alone, right? There's always somebody there. And I've always said, you know, I will argue till the, you know, cows come home, whatever that saying is, that success, no matter how fiercely independent you think you are, no matter how much you think you have to do it on your own, success will always be a team sport. You know, it's not possible to do it alone because we need other people, right? We have our strengths, but we also have things that we're not as good at, right? And so we need those other people around us, right? We need somebody to remind us, you know, we need somebody to, with the Masters of Success, every once in a while, yeah, hey, we got to kick each other in the butt a little bit, going, hey, it's okay, we got you, but you got to make a choice to change your thinking right now. So I love that. Thank you, Kylene. And then either or thinking, that was big. That was me for a long time. Either or, I like that. Yep. I thought that was really good. I've got that on my list too. Let's see here. Darren says, there's a lot of things I like to do, but honestly, I'm kind of embarrassed about it. I don't feel passionate towards anything. I like it, but don't know if I'd call it a passion. Huh. Interesting, Darren. I think, well, I'd love to learn a little bit more about some of your strengths, and we can go through some things together, Darren, and kind of work through that and figure some things out, because I think there's probably some reasons in there that you've got a lot of those things, right? Like I loved seeing the countertop that you shared on Facebook not too long ago. I thought that was beautiful, and maybe you don't feel that like full passion, but I think there's a reason why that happens, and I'd love to uncover that with you. So yeah, just reach out to me, Darren. I'll reach out to you as well, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about that, because that's the other thing, right? Sometimes we think that our passions, like we have this idea of what other people think success is. And then when we try to stuff ourselves in that box, it will never work. That passion won't be bright enough, right? So your passion's really there. You just got to uncover it a little bit more and figure out what that is, and why your passion takes you into doing all sorts of different things. There's a lot of things I like to do, right? Well, I think, maybe it's you love learning, maybe it's you love overcoming new obstacles. And so that's what forces you to move from one thing to the next, right? I know you're passionate about helping people, right? I clearly know that from all the conversations you and I have had. So, and then Darren says, definitely going to have to watch that a few times. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, again, happy to talk with y'all more about that. What other comments do you all have about that? That would be awesome to hear from you guys. And let me get this banner out of the way here. And then I wanted to just kind of close this up with going through some of the notes. We talked about this in Kylene's comment there, but I thought the first thing that was really kind of powerful for me to think about was to follow that inner guidance system, that joy, follow that. So I think we talked about that already, but if you guys have any other thoughts about that, please pop them in there. Also did briefly talk about this, but those voices in our heads, right? We have to identify them. And I thought Jack's story about the gentleman who was having the migraine, right, was really kind of interesting to that, right? Because the migraine was just the physical external of what was going on inside of him, right? So if you have these stresses, you have these things, these feelings. One of the things that Kylene and I had done, and we're trying to figure out how to kind of regroup on this, but we did a program called Unlock Your Potential, and we would go inside and work our way back through that, right? And it's kind of interesting to go back and identify and put a voice to that and put the experience, right? Sometimes we have these experiences, and in the moment we either buried it because it was a big deal, or we didn't think it was a big deal, so we kind of let it go. But now all these years later, they start popping up if we allow them to. So identifying that and then creating new stories, I think, is being really an interesting idea and something we should work on. And then secondly, replacing those voices. I just talked about that a little bit. And then Mr. Canfield said many times about affirmations, right? Turning those things into affirmations and getting to a point where it's like reciting your phone number or your address, right? These just come out of you, right? So carrying it with you. What's your reason? What's your why? But then, what are all the other important things to you? What are your goals? What are the things that you're going to do? Because that goes back to what we talked about, where procrastination is just not having enough clarity or having some internal block. And so if we go in there and we just get that passion so strong that nothing can stop it, then procrastination just goes away. We're on fire, right? I always kind of talk to Kylene about this, and for both of us really, but a lot of times, I want her to just have this passion that she's so on fire that it doesn't matter what anybody else says, what anybody else does, what I say, what I do, whatever. Her passion is so strong that she's just going to do and then figure it out as she goes, right? And I'm finally getting to that place in my life. I spent years and years and years chasing somebody else's dream, and finally allowing myself to just say, what is it that I'm passionate about, right? And it's just supporting people to build a business that they love. That's what the passion is, right? So that once I figured that out, then the book started flowing a lot better because I knew how it could help with that. All of the kind of the future, the vision becomes much more clear, much more quickly, because that passion's so big. And so now I'm just getting things done. I love it. So anyhow, that was the next one. Darren, I got those two, so I'll get back to them in just a second. Thank you for that. Let's see here. So we had affirmations. And then I guess was leading a little bit into this, but what is success to you, right? Getting real clear on that. Sometimes we procrastinate because we don't actually know what it is that we want. And so we like to be in stasis. That's our comfort zone. Stasis is our comfort zone. And so when it's not clear, our body just says, okay, nope, I'm not clear. I don't know what's going on. Could be scary out there. I'm just going to, I can do that tomorrow. Right. Yep. It's not comfortable right now. I can do that tomorrow. Right. But we have to get to that point where it's so uncomfortable to not be doing things that procrastination doesn't stand a chance. Right. And that comes from having real clarity on what it is that you want to do. Right. What is the roadmap? What is the path? You don't have to know every single thing on that path, but you have to know where you're going. Right. And so, kind of working from that, and going from there. All right. So that was the other one. Kylie kind of brought this up. Either or is what most of us think about, right? I can either be this or that. And then Mr. Canfield talked about both and. Jack, I don't know. I always call him Mr. Canfield because he does, he's somebody that I like totally look up to. But when I've been around him, he's always said, just call me Jack. I'm like, okay. All right. So both and is kind of the idea. And to me, what stands out there is, we used to give our son a hard time, and hopefully he understands it was fun. This was probably one of the limiting beliefs that we put on him. But, as a kid, if you think back to when you were a kid, if you can remember some of that, we are fantastic at asking why. Well, why? Right? So when that voice in your head says, well, you can either be a great parent or you can have a successful business. Why don't you ask why? Why can't I be both? Why not? Why? Right? The more why questions we ask of our internal voices, the more depth we're going to get. And the more depth we're going to get, the more clarity we get. And again, your inner voice will just keep going, right? It is the 800-pound gorilla. So you can't stop it by brute force, right? That internal voice is not going to stop because you just say, okay, stop. And then I'll go, yeah, sure, for a second. And then I'm going to spin back around and I'm so fast and I can do 8,000 things at once, where external brain, right? The conscious brain, very linear. I can do one thing at a time. Right? There is no such thing as multitasking. You just become a very good task switcher in that focus area. So we're never going to overcome that. But if you start asking it why, then it slows down because it's got to answer that now. Right? You can't put that stuff in front of your internal voice, your subconscious, and ask it those things without it coming back with an answer. That's just part of the survival, right? There's got to be this teamwork. And when your conscious brain says why, then your subconscious goes, oh crap, I got to answer that. Okay, hold on. I'm not real sure. So let me try. Let's try doing both. Oh, we can do both. Weird. Okay. Well, that was just a memory that I had from back when we were 8 years old. So I can let that go. Right. So that's really an interesting thing that, and in fact, Kylene put something up here. She said, the why questions are so powerful. Lewis just asked me why they are so powerful. I love that kid. All right. Why are they so powerful? Well, I actually just explained it, Lewis. So go back and watch the video if you're not already. All right. So that, and okay. Example of something that goes through my head often. Surround yourself with people smarter and more successful than myself. Why would the more successful want to have less successful around if they are trying to be around more successful than them? That is, oh, Darren, man, you and I, we're going to have to, next time we get together, we can grab a coffee, a beer, whatever you think there is appropriate, whatever time of day it is. And, let's dig into this one deep. I definitely think about this same thing a lot, but here's what I know based on what I've been able to learn by trying to surround myself with more successful people too. There's two things at play here. number one, more successful people, right? Our human instinct is to help other humans. I know it doesn't always feel like that out in the real world, but that is our instinct. That is how we got to become the dominant species on the planet, is that we are willing to communicate and work together with other humans just because, just so we'll survive, right? They don't have to be family members or anything like that. We're willing to reach back and pull somebody else up with us, right? And that actually activates chemical reward system inside of our body when we've supported somebody else that, we might think is less smart, right? So that's number one. Number two is there is so much value in the beginner's mindset that I know lots of successful people that seek out other people trying to do what they're doing so that they can make it to the next level, right? That they don't want to get passed by. Successful people kind of get to this level and sometimes they plateau a little bit because of what they know, because of their experience. And so then they will seek out people that are trying to do what they're doing, but don't have as much experience, so they can also learn from that beginner's mindset, right? And that's where the collaboration side of things comes into play. And that's where I really feel like the whole concept of a rising tide lifts all boats is so powerful, because I think truly successful people understand that, right? And they realize that they've got to have an open mind, otherwise they will plateau and then get passed by. And again, human nature is to continue to grow, build our resources, but we can do that together with people. So it's kind of co-opetition, so to speak. I see this quite often in Masters of Success, where, the folks that are in there, if you really wanted to split hairs, they're competitors, right? Now, maybe not direct competitors, but there are some people that have similar ways of doing business, similar niche areas that they work in, et cetera, but they are different, right? And so if the people that were in there were not open-minded, I think they could very easily go, nope, that's competitor, I'm not going to share. But in Masters of Success, we're very clear about what it is. It's a rising tide that lifts all boats. And so the open-minded people don't stay, right? We don't allow them to stay. And what happens is then the ideas start coming out, right? And one idea from here, one idea from there. And I've seen very successful people take and run with ideas from other folks in the group that maybe aren't quite at their level yet, right? That are still building their business from a smaller level. And it's so cool and it's so powerful to see that, but it does take success-minded people. So when you're out there looking to surround yourself with success-minded people, right, then be looking for the ones that are open-minded people, right? Because there are success-minded people that just want to, put their foot on everybody's throat and be that, competitive person. I'm an extremely competitive person, but I realized really early on that I can't be competitive at that level and get to where I want to go, right? But some people don't realize that. So looking for that, I think. So those are my two things. Hopefully that helped a little bit, Darren, but as you can tell, that's a passion topic of mine. So next time we're together, let's, in fact, I think at some point you're coming to St. Louis. So when you're out here, I'll buy the coffee or the beer and we can talk even more about that. All right. What else we got? Chuck says, have to watch that again. So many shiny objects. Chuck, if you're still hanging out there though, I would love to just, the shiny objects I'm fine with, right? That's totally cool. But there had to be one gut thing that stood out. What's one thing that stood out for you? And then anybody else that's tuned in right now, I saw earlier that Stephanie was here. Where did that go? Yep. Good morning, Stephanie. And so if you're still around, Stephanie, what one thing stood out to you? And that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully those are great tools that'll allow you to kind of overcome procrastination and just some great ideas to think about there. And but I'd love to hear more from you all. So we'll do that. Coming up, I forgot to check what was coming up. I think we will be back next week. And then after that, I've got some travel. So be off of Small Business Saturdays for a couple of weeks. So while you guys are putting in your, excuse me, in in some of your final comments there to close us out. Let me go look up what's next. I couldn't remember exactly. I'm also working on a couple of guests that are going to join me, so I'm excited about that. But let's see what's next on the docket there. All right, cool. So May 27th, yep, a week from now, we will be talking about Uncover Your Reason, how to build a business that you love. And obviously that's something that I talk about a lot, but I want to get very specific and talk about the fundamentals and just kind of dig into some more depth on that. And for those of you that have reached out to me and asked for the book, stay tuned this week. And I'm just finishing some of the last edits right now as we speak. So I'm excited about that. And I think that's about it, guys. So that's what I've got on the docket for next week. And hopefully today was very helpful for you guys. I appreciate Darren and Kylene and everybody else who commented, Chuck and Stephanie. Thank you guys for tuning in live. If you are catching the podcast version, make sure to head over to Live OSG and subscribe so you can catch all of the live videos that we do. Besides Small Business Saturdays, you'll catch the Two Regular Guys podcast on there. You'll catch the half that I do with Eric Campbell. You'll also catch Kylene's Thankful Thursday, which is now moved to 5 p.m. Central Time. And so I think that's a good time for people to check that out. And yeah, thank you very much too, Darren. I appreciate you being here. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will look forward to talking to everybody again next week.